Businesses fail for all sorts of reasons, but what about those businesses that start off strong, but still wind up getting stuck, stall out, and fail anyway? Why does that happen? Well, we've identified that there are 8 reasons that good companies fail. We call them the 8 scale constraints, and in this video, we're gonna talk about what the 8 constraints are, how to identify which ones you might be struggling with, and even give you access to a free assessment so that you'll know for a fact, yep, gotta work on this one. So let's get into it. The first big reason that good companies fail is simply a lack of clarity. Now, I get it. A lot of people say, oh, so do I need to create a vision board and mission and values and all that kinds of stuff? Well, the answer is at some point, yes. Because the reality is, if you've got an unclear and uninspiring mission or vision, nobody on your team is gonna know what the heck to do. They're not gonna know what is important. And this is challenging for a lot of entrepreneurs because in the earliest days of a business, the mission is don't die. The mission is just don't run out of money. And in the earliest days, you know what, that's fine. I think it's actually damaging to a business to over-visionate, to over-missionalize a company when it's still just trying to figure out if anybody wants what it's trying to sell. But at some point, look, just don't die is not a good enough reason to keep a business going. It's not gonna inspire your customers, it's not gonna inspire your team. So at some point, you gotta build clarity. Now, there's 4 things that we look to put in place to create clarity. The first thing is, you gotta have a 3-year target. Okay, you gotta have a 3-year target, that North Star, this is where we're heading, and it needs to be a business goal. It should be a money goal, a monetary goal. This is what we wanna do in terms of revenue and profitability. All right, you gotta have a 3-year target, but you also need to have a company purpose, right? A company purpose. Why do you get out of bed, in the morning? What is the impact that you want to have? So here at the Scalable Company, right, we're all about helping entrepreneurs scale themselves so that they can scale their businesses. We firmly believe that the world is a better place, all right? That companies are better, teams are better, families are better, everything is better when entrepreneurs stay at the helm of their business as long as they want to. So we want to serve the entrepreneur. That is our company purpose. It's what I get excited about. It's what I'd, tattoo on my, well, I wouldn't tattoo it on my forehead, but you get what I'm saying. No face tattoos here. That's the second thing you need. We need to have that 3-year target. We need to have the company purpose. We also need to have core values. Right? We need to know, how are we supposed to behave? What is the standard behavior? A lot of companies have these, but frankly, a lot of them are boring. They're like, integrity. Right? They might as well say breathe air, right? So when you're thinking about your core values, think about them as differentiated, right? If you look at a core value and literally any company on planet Earth could have that one, get rid of it. It's permission to play, get some things that are truly meaningful. And then when you have them, make sure you hire, you train, and if necessary, fire by them. That is the 3rd thing that you need. The 4th thing that you need if you want clarity, strategic anchors. What are the things that we're specifically good at? What are things that we're not good at? As businesses, we need a mechanism for saying no to stuff. Right? How do you know when to say no? How do you scale decision-making? Well, the way that we scale decision-making is we make it clear, this is what we're good at, this is what we're not good at. If a new project checks all the boxes of things that we're good at, our strategic anchors, it's a go. If it doesn't, and specifically, if it checks boxes of things we're not good at, it's a no. All right, so if you got a 3-year target, if you got a company purpose, if you got core values and you have strategic anchors, you got clarity. Incidentally, if you don't have those things, let us know. That's what we help teams do all the time at the Scalable Company. The second scale constraint is insufficient demand. Simply put, not enough people want the thing that you're selling. Now, what we've seen time and time again is really it's not a desire in the marketplace, right? It's not that people don't want what you're selling. In fact, if you've sold it in the past, you can rest assured that people probably want it. What we've actually found is that business owners don't know how to structure their marketing, structure their sales in a systemized manner so that it can scale without them. So instead, all the sales are generated by the founder or by, a couple of key people, or they come from a couple of key accounts. So what we say for, anybody going through any of our programs, right? It comes down to 1, 10, 3. Okay, the 1, 10, 3 rule. You want to have one growth engine that is responsible for $10,000 a month in directly attributable revenue 3 months in a row. One growth engine, so that could be a funnel, predictable selling system, whatever, but one sales process that is responsible for $10,000 a month in revenue 3 months in a row. And until you have that, you focus on nothing else. It is really, really simple. One growth engine, $10,000 a month, 3 months in a row. Because if you have that, I can promise you this, if you got one doing $10,000 a month, you can scale that up to $100,000 a month or $1 million in revenue. At that point, going from 7 figures to 8 figures is just about getting some more growth engines and optimizing the ones that you have. But right now, if you don't have at least one growth engine responsible for $10,000 a month, 3 months in a row, there you go. That's your focus. Make sure that you got sufficient demand. Scale constraint number 3, bad strategy. Simply put, failing to do the right things or failing to do the right things at the right time. And the reason we find that a lot of entrepreneurs wind up adopting bad strategy because they have no strategy at all, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, they don't like the planning process. They're gonna say, hey, I'm just gonna do what I feel like needs to be done. I'm gonna, go with my gut. I'm gonna let the market decide. Again, that's okay in the earliest stages, but at some point, you need to build in a planning cadence. So what we do at the Scalable Company, we plan out in 3-year cycles. 3 years from now, where do we want to be in terms of revenue, profitability, and also the number of customers that we are serving. Now, once you have your 3-year target, that 3-year cycle can be broken into 12 quarterly chunks. Okay. Now, once we have that, we're going to say, okay, what does the growth need to look like? We actually have a tool that we have called the 12Q planning canvas that plans all this out. But the basic idea is, in that first quarter, okay, here's where we are. We need to go to here. How do we get there? And that's the only question that you're asking. How do we go from here to here in this quarter? You're gonna pick 3 projects generally that you're gonna execute that's gonna get you there. You're gonna measure weekly, you're gonna check in monthly. If you do that on a regular basis, if you're not asking the question of what should we do because we want to? What should we do because this shiny object popped up? What should we do, worst of all, because we saw our competition doing it and we're afraid we should do it too. We got FOMO from the competition. Get rid of all that crap, okay? What do we need to do to hit the next quarter's target based on our 3-year cycle? We plan in 3-year cycles. We execute in 90-day sprints. We measure weekly. You should have a weekly CEO scorecard that you were looking at to know, are we getting closer, moving farther away? You check in monthly so that you have the opportunity to pivot. If you're doing that, you're gonna wind up having a much better strategy. Scale constraint number 4, poor systems, right? Simply put, all the systems, the standard operating procedures, the source code of the business probably is sitting in your head. And that is a problem because look, if everything that it takes to create value in the company, whether it's going out there and getting new customers or serving those customers or coming up with new product ideas, all right? If all of that is trapped in your head, then you are trapped in your business. All right, and I'm gonna put it to you even more simply. If you can't take a 30-day vacation and come back and your business be as good or at least arguably better than when you left it, you don't own your business owns you. Poor systems is what is holding you back. And out of all of the constraints, this is the one that's probably the easiest to solve, and yet it's the one that holds most businesses back. It's why at the Scalable Company, kind of the main thing that we help entrepreneurs do is install operating systems in their business so that the business can run itself. Now, the process that we do this, I'm gonna tell you, is not to go and create a checklist for everything that your company does. This is what most people think systems creation is. I can tell you, if you do that, it's gonna take too long, it's gonna piss off your team, and nobody's gonna use it, so it's gonna wind up being just a massive waste of time. And if you've gone through the process of creating checklists and SOPs, you probably have already discovered that is true. That's not how we do it. What we do is we create what we call business process maps, right? We're gonna do a visual flowchart of how do we create value? Specifically, how do we acquire customers? How do we serve the customers once we have them? How do we continue to innovate and come up with new product ideas, right? It's as simple as that, right? So 3 basic flowcharts. Now, once you have the stage of the flowchart, you can say, okay, that one right there. How do we do that? Now we can create some checklists, but only around those most critical stages of the value creation process. So start high level, drill in, and then do the most important part of all, decide who's responsible for what. But that's not this scale constraint, that's another one. Scale constraint number 5, the wrong team. Now, the wrong team can look like having the wrong people on your team, period, just the wrong people there, or it can look like having the right people in the wrong roles. Either way, you've got the wrong team. Now, let me tell you, 9 times out of 10, when I'm working with an entrepreneur and they say, hey, things aren't working out with my people, I'll say, well, were they ever good? Or has this person always been a bum, right? And almost never does somebody say, yeah, no, they've always sucked. Like, if they always sucked, then you would have let them go a long time ago. 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, if somebody's not performing, if an entire team is not performing, it usually is the case that they were good at one point and then they got bad. So you have to ask yourself, why? Why do they get bad? Do they just all of a sudden decide to get stupid? Do they just all of a sudden decide to not care? Generally, no. Usually what happened with them is the same thing that's happened with you. The business has grown, the game has changed, and they don't know what it looks like to do that role. They don't know what it is they're supposed to be doing. In other words, what we found is that the wrong team normally comes down to what we talked about before, which is poor systems. So here's what I got to tell you. Focus on systems first. Map out the different flowchart of your value creation process. Decide how each of those steps is accomplished. Then say who is uniquely responsible for each and every one of these core, critical value creation stages. What you're gonna find is a couple of things. Number one, you're gonna find that there are people whose name goes in every single one of those boxes. Maybe it's your name. Either way, you're gonna find, well, no wonder this person isn't performing. They're completely overwhelmed. How do we get them some help? The second thing you're gonna find is that you've got talented people who are doing old stuff that doesn't matter anymore, right? They're doing work that maybe it mattered at one point, or maybe somebody thought it was a good idea, but it doesn't matter anymore, and you know it doesn't matter anymore because when you look at your core value creation process, which is, this is how we get customers, this is how we fulfill on the promises that we made during the buying process, and this is how we come up with and improve the products and services that we have. That's your core value creation process. If you map this, and there's somebody who you know is good, but their name isn't in any one of these boxes, well, this is where you got a diamond in the rough. This is when you got unmet capacity. One of the biggest opportunities in a business. Other times what you're gonna see is, wow, we got this person over here who's really well paid. They've been here for a long time, but they're not in any of this stuff. And now that I think about it, they don't know how to do anything. That can be a really hard conversation to have, but it's essential. But the only way that you can find out, do we have a systems problem or a people problem, is to tackle the systems first. Document those core systems and processes, then decide who is uniquely accountable to each one of them. Once you've done that, make sure that they know they're accountable, make sure that they're put in a position to succeed by giving them the support, giving them the systems and the documentation. Then and only then can you look at somebody and say, hey, it's probably not a fit. You got something wrong in your team. Scale constraint number 6, poor communications. In other words, no one knows what the heck is going on, and so no one knows really what they should be working on. How does poor communications get solved? You're not gonna like this answer, but meetings. Yep, I said it, meetings. Most entrepreneurs don't like meetings. We don't want to do meetings. We feel like that meetings are death, that they're a waste of time. And all of those things are true if you are doing bad meetings. But if you're running good meetings, then those meetings should be some of the most valuable, highest leverage time that you spend at your company, period. So I talked before about how we build strategy at the Scalable Company, right? We're gonna start off by selecting and identifying what our 3-year target is. Once we know what the 3-year target is, then we break that down into the 12 quarters, okay? Those 12 quarterly chunks, and we're going to execute in 90-day sprints. So when you think about how do we improve our communication, well, number one, you and your leadership team should be meeting every single quarter. We generally like to do it the second to last week in the month of that ends that quarter. So, let's say first quarter, if you're following just a January, February, March. So maybe in the second or third week of March, we're gonna meet and we're gonna plan the next quarter sprint, that Q2 sprint. So that's gonna kick things off. Now, when we come back from that, we're gonna hold a company-wide all-hands meeting. We're gonna tell our team, here's how we did last quarter, here's what we're doing this next quarter, and here are the specific action and activities that we have greenlit. So that is kind of the base level thing that you need to be doing. Then you and your leadership team, you need to have monthly check-ins, but here's the biggie. Weekly team meetings where you're reviewing scorecards. So communication comes in 2 forms. Communication is both your meeting rhythm, but it's also the scorecards. What are the metrics that matter that you are tracking? Okay, so if you're having a meeting and that meeting isn't either building or reviewing a scorecard, good chance it's a bad meeting. Good chance it could probably just be an email. There's exceptions. Sometimes you need to meet, have an ad hoc to brainstorm, talk about some stuff. But in general, if we want to communicate, communication starts with, this is our goal. These are the metrics that matter. Everybody has access. They understand how we're progressing towards those. And now the meetings are about disseminating the information and discussing how do we bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to be. If you're doing that, if you've got high quality dashboards and you've got a proven, efficient meeting rhythm, which doesn't have to be a lot, by the way, you're gonna have great communication. Scale constraint number 7, insufficient capital. Simply put, not enough free cash flow, not enough money in the bank to sustain growth. Now, when we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, when they come into Founders Board, they come in believing that they've got a capital issue, that they need to go and raise money, they need to go and secure debt. What they actually find is that if you take care of all of the other constraints, if you get your team, which for most of us, our team, our people, this is our biggest expense, right? So if we can get our team, if every member of your team has a direct 3-to-1 ROI that can be attached to their name, capital starts to take care of itself. Businesses that previously you thought you had to go out there and get more capital, suddenly what you realize is this is becoming self-funding. We've got so much money hitting the bottom line that not only can we reinvest these profits in growth, but we can have some left over for us. And so that's the goal. So at the end of the day, maybe you do need additional capital. Maybe you need to go out and secure some debt, line of credit. Maybe you need to go and raise money. Here's what I'll tell you. All of that is a lot easier to do if you take care of your comms, if you take care of your team, if you got the systems, the right strategy, if your flywheel spinning so demand is an issue, if you got clarity so you can tell your investors where you're going, if you deal with all those other constraints, what you find is capital has a way of taking care of itself. The business just becomes self-funded. Scale constraint number 8, this is the one that nobody talks about and everybody forgets about, impact misalignment. All right, impact misalignment. This is when the goals of the founder, the CEO, the owner, become misaligned with the goals of the company. This is simply put when you're burned out. All right, when entrepreneurs get burned out, it's because the impact, where the company is headed, is no longer where the entrepreneur wants to go, right? And usually this happens when the company has grown to a point in complexity, not size. This is really, really important, not size. It's grown with respect to complexity. That it just stops being fun and it just stops being worth it. And this is when you start thinking, God, things were a whole lot easier back when this business was small. Why did I hire all these people? They were supposed to make things easier. It's only gotten harder, and less profitable. Maybe I should just blow everything up and start over again, right? If you start having those kind of thoughts, what I want you to hear, and this is so important, your business isn't broken and you aren't broken. Usually what it means if you're experiencing impact misalignment is you're burned out. You are burned out. And the solution to burnout is just to start at the top of the 8 scale constraints. Do I have clarity? Do I have clarity on where we're going and why we're going there? And does everybody on the team know how we're supposed to behave? And do they know, frankly, what we're good at? Can we scale our decision making so that you don't have to make every decision, so that your people are making decisions as though they are you? If you want that to happen, you got to improve your clarity. And then demand. Right? If you want to get off that hamster wheel, right, we got to get some of these flywheels in place. Remember, we talked about the 1, 10, 3. We got to get the one growth engine generating the 10,000 a month minimum 3 months in a row. If you're finding that your plans are non-existent, or when you do plan, they're quickly abandoned, we got to get you into a regular planning cadence, right? Let's set those 3-year targets. Let's break it up into the 12 quarterly goals and let's build a plan every quarter for getting there. By the way, if you want help with that, both the creating and the getting there, that's what we do. That's what we do at the Scalable Company. It's what we do in Founders Board. And then systems. It's one thing to be the center of your business and that you're really, really important. People think that's great. Really what it means is you're trapped. If you're at the center, you're trapped. Everything else is around you. You want to get out of the in, and not even work on your business. You want to work over your business. That's where we want you to get. How do you get there? You replace yourself at the center with an operating system. And truly, again, fixing that before you complain about your team anymore, my guess is you got great people. My guess is you got great people who do care. They just don't know what they're supposed to be doing. Let's fix the systems. That usually fixes the team. If that doesn't do it, better communications will. All of this should create more capital, and all of these things should make business a whole lot more fun, which should resolve the impact misalignment issue. So if you're watching this right now, if you found this valuable, I've got a couple of gifts for you. Number 1, we actually have a totally free assessment. It's called the Scalability Score Assessment. It's a few questions, takes just 5 minutes or so. Fill out the questions and you go and it'll give you a score, and it'll tell you across the 8 factors of scale: clarity, demand, strategy, systems, team, communications, capital, and impact. Where are you struggling and where are you strong? Just knowing that, just being able to give names of these things is going to help you tremendously. All right, so that's the first gift. The link should be down in the comments somewhere, so be sure to look for that. Again, totally free. Also, if you want help with this, if you want help resolving these constraints, if you want help building a plan, if you want help building an operating system, this is the work we do at the Scalable Company, and specifically, this is the work that we do at Founders Board, which is our highest level program where we work with founders individually to get this stuff resolved, to get you out of being the bottleneck of your business, to get your company to scale, but to scale in a way where you enjoy it, to scale in a way where you're no longer stuck, you're no longer trapped, to scale in a way where you're frankly having fun again. If that's what you want for you, we want it for you as well, and we would love to help you do it. Either way, if nothing else, be sure to take the Scalability Score Assessment. It's totally free, and the clarity that you're gonna get from it is gonna be hugely valuable. And also, forward it onto your team, forward it onto your top level executives, have them take it as well and compare notes. I bet there's a really good chance that the areas of constraint that you're seeing vary from where they're seeing, and just the conversation alone, you're gonna find is hugely valuable. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to comment, be sure to like, be sure to let us know. And again, if we can help you, just know that we are here. Be sure to check out Founders Board and apply for that. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one.